All right, well, good morning, and I'm Jimmy Gray, Mayor of Hampton, and thank you for joining us this morning to address a problem that we think requires a collective effort amongst those in our community who are working to reduce violent crimes and other issues that are affecting our city, creating problems with safety and security and the perceptions that people have in Hampton. So in recent weeks, our Hampton community has been deeply affected by a series of tragic incidents stemming from multiple forms of violence. And I want to take a moment to speak directly to the families and community members who have been personally impacted by the heartbreaking events. No words can fully ease your pain, but please know this: we see you, we grieve with you, we share your loss and the pain throughout our city. As a community, we are not only mourning, we are prioritizing our justice, healing, and safety for all. Gun violence continues to be one of the most visible and devastating problems that we face. Domestic violence, though often hidden behind closed doors, leaves lasting and painful scars. Vehicular violence, reckless driving, and other traffic-related incidents also claim lives and inflict long-term harm. These tragedies have shaken us, not because of our community lacks care and commitment or hope, but in spite of the incredible work that happens every single day in our community. When it comes to gun violence specifically, we have teams of community partners who work tirelessly to focus on prevention, intervention, and enforcement. And they are dedicated to keeping Hampton safe. Still, the recent surge that forces us to confront the sobering truth is not the first time that we felt the urgency of now, and sadly, it may not be the last. While we have made undeniable progress in public safety as a community, we are seeing positive change, and we know our work is far from over. As a result of our collective efforts from nonprofit organizations, violence interrupters, and members of our community, over the past 2 years, we've seen fewer homicides compared to 2023. We've actually seen a 71% decrease, and there's been one person fewer shot than this time last year. These numbers matter not because they reflect progress, but because each one represents a life, a family, a neighbor, and a loved one. Many of you here today could speak to the heartbreak and pain that these statistics leave behind. The stories of resilience, strength, and yes, most deeply, personal loss that people feel. Every act of violence impacts more than immediate victims. It affects our entire community. And whether it happens in a home, on the street, or on a road, violence chips away at the safety, trust, and well-being that we work so hard to protect and build. So to that end, I want to assure you that I, along with my fellow members of council, am committed to addressing violence at the highest levels in our city. We're ensuring that we have staff, resources, and most importantly, the community partnerships needed to respond to this challenge together. We are investing not only in safety, but in unity and healing and in hope. And because I believe in Hampton, I believe in us and our ability to come together to support one another and stay engaged in this shared responsibility. Together we can and will build a stronger, safety, and more hopeful Hampton for everyone. And as we recognize this month as Youth Violence Prevention Month, I encourage you all to be a part of the solution. Join us for the city's Reset Walk or other upcoming events hosted by our Office of Youth and Young Adult Opportunities, kicking off on Saturday, April 27, 2025 from 1 p.m. to 5 p.m. at Gosnell Hope Park. Let us show up, stand together, and continue to build a city where everyone feels safe, supported, and hopeful. And so with that, I'd like to invite our Police Chief, Jimmy Wideman, to the podium.
Thank you, Mayor. Good morning, all. All right, simply put, Hampton's a safe place to live. And I'll just go over a couple of reasons why I can stand behind that statement. Past couple of weeks is not indicative of the future trends of Hampton public safety or the city of Hampton. One less person has been struck by gun violence this year compared to the years previously by 8%. However, there's 10 less homicides as compared to 2023, and as the mayor mentioned, that's a 71% decrease. and a total of 44 people were shot by either fatal or non-fatal shooting as compared to 2023 or 2025, which is a 73% decrease. And again, in 2024, we reduced our we reduced our traffic-related deaths by 50%. We were one of 2 cities in the region that were able to do that. And yes, we've had an increase recently here in 2025, and that's predicated on several factors. Of course, we have to wish upon people to voluntarily comply with the traffic laws, and that their failure to do so has resulted in speeding, jaywalking, and subsequent to that, their non-compliance has resulted in fatalities, which again, is not acceptable, but we're trying to mitigate those factors by increasing our traffic enforcement presence. We have several projects moving forward to help mitigate that issue by increasing the number of officers that are available, to increase patrols, to use a zero tolerance strategy to make sure that we curb the behavior and make sure that their behavior is thereby reducing the number of accidents, severity of accidents, and of course fatalities. Additional to that, we're increasing our patrol efforts to mitigate the violent crimes that are occurring. And how do we do that? We increase our enforcement with specialized intentional surveillance, intelligence-led policing, patrols for individuals most responsible for the violence within our cities. Subsequent to that, as of April 9th through April 12th, we've had 17 felony arrests, 3 misdemeanor arrests. We've increased our traffic enforcement with 28 stops, 14 summonses. We've recovered 12 firearms and executed 1 search warrant. And a process of coordinating community engagement where we're getting into the communities, we're identifying those target people in those target locations, increasing our efforts there, engaging the community for dialogue, trust, communication, and identifying their needs rather than making the assumption of what they expect from their community, their law enforcement. And so additionally, we're collaborating with them to have community engagement opportunities. We're establishing neighborhood watch groups more so than we have in the past. So we're establishing better communication and dialogue. So what we're asking of our community, so if you can secure your vehicles, secure your homes, report crimes, be good witnesses, good citizens, and communicate with the law enforcement community, the law enforcement officers, so we can respond accordingly and provide the services that you wish of us. Thank you.
Commonwealth. Good morning. Thank you for joining us. I'd like to first thank our mayor, Jimmy Gray, our vice mayor, Stephen Brown, and council, along with our city manager, Mary Bunny, for their leadership during this challenging time. I'd also like to thank our chief, Jimmy Wideman, and his force, our sworn public officials, for their dedication and for their swift and very effective response during this season. So you may ask, hearing all of the data, hearing all of the figures and statistics, why are we here? It's very simple. Perception is reality. And when you have a perception that there is a safety issue or you may not be safe, that may become your reality. And so we're here today to address those issues. We're here today to make sure you are educated as well as empowered. It is very clear, Hampton is a safer city. We have reduced the homicides by a tremendous amount, more than 70%, our shootings by more than 70% since 2023. That is not by accident. That is by a collective and very intentional strategic plan that brought together collaborators over the last 4 to 5 years. We call it Hope for Hampton. And in that particular initiative, what we did is we began to look at targeted areas involving individuals who we found were serial offenders. And we targeted those individuals with preventative and intervention mechanisms. And we used a 3-legged stool called prevention, intervention, and then you have me, the hammer. Enforcement. And with the enforcement, we have pulled together partners on the federal, the state, and the local level. And we have used those particular collaborators and stakeholders to make sure that if someone intentionally or by some happenstance commits a crime that harms our city and traumatizes our city, that there will be swift enforcement. and accountability for that criminality. Now, yes, we believe in surrounding those individuals who have the propensity to commit crime with services to help them get on the right road. But should they not take that path, we're here to tell you, we're here to tell them, we will hold you accountable. We will come for you. And we will make sure that you will not harm individuals in this city. Hampton has been the recipient of 4 awards for All-American City. That is not by happenstance. That is because our citizens and those who are watching our city, our great city, they know that they can be safe. They know that they can live a good life. They can live here. Their kids can go to great schools. They can shop here. They can be entertained here. Quality of life is extremely essential for a great city. And that's what we have here. And so, yes, we are in a challenging moment. And you may say, well, why is it challenging? Because right now we have 4 homicides. But if you compare us to other cities, Hampton did not experience its first fatality until March, while our neighboring cities had multiple homicides. But for us, 1 fatality is way too many. And that's why we're here, because every life matters. But can I tell you what our secret sauce is? Our secret sauce is that we care, and we're united. We are Hampton. We're Hampton in great times, and we're Hampton in challenging times. We will not be defeated. We will overcome it. We will plow through this. We will respond effectively and progressively to this. And we will make sure that our citizens know that not only are they safe, but they feel safe. That's why we're here, because we are Hampton. So again, thank you for coming. I again want to thank our leadership. And for those who are listening, to our clergy, continue to pray for us. For our grassroots organizations, continue to work with us. For our citizens, continue to say something when you see something. And for those who may intentionally or by way of happenstance think about committing crime, we will come for you. It will be intentional, it will be swift, and it will be enforceable. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bell, and thanks to Chief Wideman for being here today. Again, I want to acknowledge my fellow council members, Vice Mayor Stephen Brown, Councilmember Randy Bowman, our city manager, Mary Bunting, members of our team. They're spread throughout the council chambers here, our Office of Youth and Young Adult Opportunities, Commonwealth Attorney's Office, the Victim Witness Program staff. This effort to reduce violent crime in Hampton is not an issue that one department or one group of people are working on, in a vacuum. We are a team, we work together, and I think as Mr. Bell has mentioned, that's the Hampton way. So we approach this as a collaborative effort. It's all hands on deck, and so we'll solve the problems that affect our community, and we'll make sure that we have a community that's safe and that people want to live and want to be a part of the Hampton community. So again, thank you for being here today, and I think that concludes our press conference. We're certainly happy to answer any questions you might have. Yes, ma'am.
A few questions, I think, for the police chief, particularly. So, I understand that Hampton is a safe city, as you say, and I understand that this is a moment, and you brought up your statistics on this, but we also see that there are, just in general, more homicides that happen in the summer, just undoubtedly all across our area. Are you prepared for that, and are you prepared to be at this podium again in just a few weeks if the trend proves true?
No, I don't anticipate to be at the podium again. We were preparing for some fluctuations. We were already ahead of the mark prior to the wave of homicides that we experienced. As noted by the mayor and the Commonwealth Attorney, we had no homicides. We led into the year below the average, not only for our cities, but all the other cities in the surrounding area, because we had a very effective plan. Unfortunately, we were unable, as most cities are unable to do so, prevent all the homicides. Most of the homicides involve people involved in some sort of relationship, and we are not, I guess, capable of intervening when emotions are involved and family relationships are involved and when something happens spontaneously. We're just unable to be in all those spaces all the times. And so the other benefit for us is because we have a great investigative team, we're able to identify the people responsible for those acts and then hold them accountable and present those cases to the Commonwealth for prosecution.
Newport News just put out a report for, I believe, homicides with domestic violence involved. Is domestic violence also a leading contributor to some of the crime we've seen recently?
There are some of those cases that involve some sort of relationships, domestic being a part of that. I don't have the exact statistics to give you indications as to by what percentage domestics are attributable.
Okay, and then finally, just for me, I'm not picking on this particular city.
Sure.
In fact, it's actually some of the other cities. We've seen an increase in road rage. I know the term that you used was reckless driving, but why do you think that we're seeing this increase recently? And it's not just Hampton, it's
Sure.
all cities.
Post-COVID, a lot of the, primary offenses that we were able to, charge for or stop vehicles for were no longer permitted, such as some of the registration, inspection, jaywalking, some of the offenses that an officer observing would take action upon, they're no longer able to. So inevitably, people's driving behavior became a little less disciplined, and that became systemic, and people were a little less concerned about their driving behavior and habits. And so by virtue of that, it became more common for people to be less responsible. That became systemic. And with that, other driving behaviors became a little less responsible. And so speeding and other offenses contributed to that. And by way of that, we're seeing people being less responsible drivers.
And I promise truly my last question.
Sure, sure.
You mentioned earlier in when you're talking about urging people to be good witnesses
Sure.
and to cooperate with police. Have you at all seen in times that people know that a crime has happened in a neighborhood, but they feel uncomfortable talking about it because they are afraid of retaliation? Just me knocking on doors when I go on homicides, many people will say, I'm afraid to speak, or they feel almost a sense of loyalty to the person who may have committed the crime. What would you say in those situations, and does that make it harder for your police officers or to get a conviction way further down the line?
Not so much a sense of loyalty, just the responsibility of the law enforcement to establish good relationships with the community and the people of those neighborhoods. I think that's where community policing is important, where you establish those relationships, and that's a benefit for law enforcement and communities, whereas they feel comfortable, they trust law enforcement, and they don't have a sense of loyalty to the people that would deteriorate their communities. So it's our burden, our responsibility to make sure we establish those relationships, and that comes by way of good community policing.
I have a quick question for
Yes.
the Chief. There was lots of concern recently within a week's span in early April where 2 fatalities happened on West Mercury Boulevard, one involving a pedestrian, the other a 3-car accident. Lots of people think this is due to speeding or other reckless activity on that road. Are there any measures being put in place specifically in that area to decrease that possibility?
Absolutely. As soon as we identify the trend, we redirect resources to those specific areas. First, we concentrated on public awareness, using the public information officer to get the awareness out for people to be mindful of their speeding, pay attention to the traffic regulations and the laws that are attributed to safe driving, as well as deploying the police resources in those areas to use strict enforcement, visibility, to curb people's behavior. Having officer presence, first and foremost, will get them to change their driving behavior. And also, typically, we would give warnings, but strict enforcement in those instances captures people's attention more readily. And so we use strict enforcement as a way to get people to comply, because ideally the purpose is to get people to voluntarily comply and adopt behavior that is safe, opposed to issuing traffic summonses.
Would you say speeding is the main contributing factor?
It definitely is a contributing factor. But one of the things we've incorporated as well is using the Bold Blue Line initiative by way of the Attorney General's Office, where Virginia State Police are partnering with Hampton Police Division. And during certain periods throughout the year, we're using that resource to help us with our traffic enforcement.
Hampton residents that might be watching this press conference right now live, sitting at home, knowing the things that have happened in the last 2 weeks more, what can they do? What is your message? And anybody can answer this. What is your message to the folks of Hampton? What can they do to make their city safer?
Being good model citizens first and foremost. Don't contribute to the problem. Establish a relationship with your local government, your police department. Know what resources are available for the people around you and in your community. So although you may not have need for them, you may know somebody that has a need. Be able to communicate those resources to them, help them problem solve their own issues. Establish a neighborhood watch in your community. Neighborhood watch is a great opportunity for you to have a relationship with your government, with your police department. expand your network of information within your community and your relationship with the police department, have neighbors and members in your community that can share information and communicate things that they may see, whereas we can integrate into your community and help support you in having a better quality of life.
Chief, can you just give a kind of a synopsis of what's happened over the last few weeks that's given rise to this press conference today? And what have you seen in terms of shootings, homicides, and fatal accidents? I think you have two fatal accidents and 3 fatal accidents, including one with a pedestrian. Give a synopsis of it.
I guess this is best said by the mayor and Commonwealth Attorney. You know, we identified that there was an uptick. We had a trend that was developing, and rather than sit back and wait for it to continue to develop, although we were being proactive, we wanted to let our community know that we had identified it, we saw it, and we were taking proactive steps to mitigate it. And rather than to, I guess, do it behind the scenes and then not know to communicate to this community that we are just as concerned as they are, but we also are grasping it, and we're going to turn it around and make them feel comfortable that this community remains safe and it will continue to be safe, and this is just an anomaly.
Can you say how many shootings and how many homicides just in the last, since April 1st, I guess?
I don't have, so I don't want to misquote it. So I want to dare to say since April 1st, is that what your request is? April 1st, I believe it's 1 homicide and maybe 3 motor vehicle fatalities, as I recall it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we're at 4 homicides for the year. Where were we at the same point a year ago?
I want to think it was 4, so we're breaking even.
Okay.
Yeah.
But so that you know, I want to add to that, so that you know, that number was actually at the time around 65% decrease from 2023. So what you're seeing is a decrease on top of a decrease. So we're not just looking at Hampton moving in the right direction with a decrease in the crime this year. You're looking at Hampton actually building upon successes from the past. And that's why we're here, and that's what makes us the secret glue, as it. You know, we care and we're united. We're not just going to rest on our laurels and rest on the successes of past years. We're going to build on that and continue to build on that until the perception is very clear to our citizens and to those that are watching that we are a very safe city.
What did he say? Yes, sir.
Yeah, but Pete, to your question though, if I can add that, you know, we don't want the presence of violent crime in our community to be the norm. And we want the community to know that because we've had an uptick in violent crimes in our community, we've had vehicle accidents that have resulted in fatalities. These are all issues that, or problems that affect the entire community, as I stated in my remarks. And so we're here today because we want the community to know that we're paying attention to this. We're, you know, whatever efforts that we have in place, and we're going to double down on those efforts to make sure that we can address these and give the community confidence to know that at the highest levels of city government, we are in tune to what's going on, and we're taking serious steps to try to address those. So we, you know, again, don't want this to think, or the community to believe that we're allowing these things to happen in our community, and that we're not, you know, really sitting around the table having the conversations with all of our partners, saying that what else do we need to do to try to prevent them. So we're being proactive in that regard. But a great question. Thank you. I do want to add, you know, regarding your question regarding what steps are being taken to address the speeding and fatalities that have occurred on Mercury Boulevard, because in addition to police patrols and the typical things that they do to try to address speeding, we're taking some steps to address the problems on Mercury Boulevard because it's such a wide 6-lane highway where it's, you know, it's very easy for the speeding to get out of control there. But we also have the problems with people trying to cross Mercury Boulevard at places that are not really pedestrian, where the pedestrian devices are that allow you to control traffic and give people time to cross. And because of the speed at which people travel sometimes on Mercury Boulevard, there are things that we can do. So we are taking some steps to address you know, Mercury Boulevard in a segment where we've seen the most of these types of accidents, to take some steps to prevent people from crossing anywhere other than at the intersections where there are actually pedestrian crosswalks that will allow you to do so safely. So we're working on that. You'll probably see something in that coming out of that pretty soon. Again, that's just one proactive step we want to take to try to address that problem, in addition to addressing speeding as well.
Can you say whether speed was a factor in any of those 3 fatals?
Wasn't a part of the investigation. I have to let the
It
chief
is
answer
part of the
that question.
investigation, the speeds are factors.
In all 3 of them?
As I recall, yes.
I think there's a hand raised in the back. Question in this camera. How you doing today, bro?
Thank you all for not only having this meeting, but for all the efforts and work that you've been doing to prioritize the safety and needs of our community. Community has been echoed throughout this room several times today for the people maybe watching and people in this room. Could you all share maybe some tangibles as far as what are the things that are being done to connect the grassroots and community organizations that are not only really passionate about this work, but are prioritizing the needs for our community with wraparound services, rehabilitation, crisis intervention and responses, because right now we all can agree that we can't really address our way out of this problem, but our youth need to see this unified front with law enforcement, stakeholders, faith-based community, and for us right now, we're kind of looking for where do we fit into this plan moving forward, so we can be strategic and be on one front with our
So actually, the person that you're sitting beside right now, Ms. Letitia Handy, please stand. So Ms. Letitia Handy, along with a group of stakeholders have come together. I've mentioned it earlier, called Hope for Hampton. Many of you are familiar with that. And one of the things that we do is we reach out to grassroots organizations, and we reach out to clergy, we reach out to other stakeholders within our city, our schools, our Hampton Newport News Community Service Board, and some others to make sure we do a collaborative front concerning how to address youth violence as well as violence in our city. And so we are extremely open to different organizations who want to do the work. We are very intentional and we are very strategic, and we have one vision. There are no bunch of eyes in this work. It is a we. Again, that's what makes Hampton so different from so many cities. We are working as one voice, one mission, one vision. And so if you want to join that effort, please reach out to us. We are more than happy to work with you and allow you to join that effort, but please don't get it twisted. It is one vision, one mission, one strategic plan.
Any other questions? All right, well, thank you for joining us this evening and or this morning, and we appreciate you giving time to this issue for our city. It's important that we come together as a community, as I mentioned, but it is good to have our media partners here to be a part of that, and we hope you take that message out to the community, let them know that you know, Hampton and our team are really on top of this, and we want to make sure that our city is a safe city and that people feel comfortable being here. We're proud of the work that we've done to this point to reduce violent crime in our community. We think it will get better, our numbers will get better, but this uptick that we're having right now gives us reason to be concerned, and just want the community to know that we're trying to address it. Thank you.